Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a wrap up, I guess, from 2019. So you may or may not know, at the beginning, or actually technically at the end of 2018, I made a 5-star predictions video during Vlogmas, and I talked about the 12 books that I wanted to read throughout 2019, and I thought I was going to give them all 5 stars. So today is going to be a bit of a wrap up of that. There will be another 2 coming after these, which will be my project thriller and then my books to read in 2019 wrap up, I guess. But yeah, today I'm going to be talking about the 12 books that I said I wanted to read in 2019. We'll be talking about whether or not I actually read them, and if I did read them, did I give them a 5 stars. So we'll see how I did, but let's get started. So the first book that I mentioned in that video was The Accident by C.L. Taylor. Now I put this on the list because I have read, I think that was my 3rd C.L. Taylor book to read. I'd already read The Lie and what's the other one? The Missing, and I really enjoyed those 2. So I was fairly certain I was going to really enjoy The Accident. Now I did manage to read this one. I actually read it in January, so it was actually one of the very first ones that I decided to read, and I really did not like it, unfortunately. I gave it a 2-star. It is the only C.L. Taylor book that I did not enjoy. Like I said, I've read the 3 now. I also own Sleep by C.L. Taylor now, which I've heard is amazing. So it's very much one I want to get to. But yeah, unfortunately for me, The Accident was not a great one. It basically follows a woman whose daughter walks in front of a bus and is in a coma in hospital, and she's trying to figure out why she did it, what happened, and yeah, kind of everything else around the situation. It had a particular trope in it that I really hate, so that's kind of why I didn't like it, although I did still enjoy the writing. I thought it was really well written, and as all C.L. Taylor books are. Yeah, I just wasn't particularly a fan of this book in particular, but I would definitely recommend the author. Then the second one that I said I wanted to read was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which I did manage to read. I gave it a 4-star, not quite a 5-star, but I did really enjoy it. I think The Handmaid's Tale has had quite a lot of chatter, I guess, this year, because if you didn't know, The Testaments came out towards the end of the year, which was the sequel, and I do really want to read that one. The first one, The Handmaid's Tale, there were parts of it that I just didn't particularly gravitate towards. I found myself a little bit unsure what was happening, but I did really enjoy it. Yeah, it is an interesting read, definitely, and one I would 100% recommend, and it's one of those sort of modern classics that's a bit easier to get into, I think. So yeah, I do really recommend it, and I want to continue on with the series, but it was a 4-star, not quite a 5-star for me. But I have read 2 for 2, which is quite good, I think. Next up was Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers by Mary Roach, which is a non-fiction book about basically dead bodies. And I did actually read this one. I gave it a 4-star, not quite a 5-star, but was very good. I think for me, non-fiction 5 stars tend to be... I think it was a bit more difficult for this to be a 5-star once I actually started reading it, because it is very much kind of theory and a lot of it, and although I found it really interesting, it was I tend to find non-fiction books that have a bit more of the person that's writing it, so more of a memoir type thing, and not fully a memoir. For example, I read Unnatural Causes by Richard Shepherd this year, and that is a bit more memoir but had that element in it, so I enjoyed that. But anyway, I did give it a 4-star. I did really enjoy it. Like I said, there were parts of it where I was a bit sort of again, it was quite slow and quite difficult to read because it is very heavy non-fiction, only in parts though. I would recommend, if you've read things like Unnatural Causes and All That Remains, that sort of thing, because it definitely has that kind of element, and I found it fascinating. I learnt loads reading it. So yeah, I did really enjoy it, but like I said, it was a 4-star in the end, not quite a 5, but hey, 3 for 3 that I've read. I'm quite impressed with myself right now. And then this is where it starts to go a bit wrong, because yeah. So the next book on this list, and one that I genuinely cannot believe I did not read, because so I put this one on my list because I really think I'm going to love it, obviously, hence why I thought it was going to be a 5-star, and I still haven't read it. This has literally been on my shelf for years now. This is gonna surely be read this year, surely. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, this is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. You're probably bored of me now talking about this because I have mentioned this so many times and I, for some reason, just haven't got round to it again. I think it's because it's such a big book, so it's nearly... Let's have a look. It's over 600 pages, and I think this does put me off a bit, but it does sound like something I'm going to absolutely adore. It's about a sort of time travel novel where it says, during a snowstorm in England in 1910, a baby is born and dies before she can take her first breath. During a snowstorm in England in 1910, the same baby is born and lives to tell the tale. What if there were second chances and third chances, in fact an infinite number of chances to live your life? So I am really, really looking forward to this, and again, like I said, for some reason I just didn't pick it up again this year. I do hope to get to it in 2020, but I feel like I'm going to just keep saying that. However, it's not a book that I'm going to get rid of just because I haven't read it, because I think I want to get to it so much. I'm definitely going to try and make this a priority this year. Who knows? The next one is another one that I unfortunately did not get to in 2019. This one is Eat Me by Bill Schutt, which is a natural and unnatural history of cannibalism. I think I read 3 books about kind of dead bodies and non-fiction books about that, which was, like I said, Unnatural Causes, I read All That Remains, and I read Stiff. And I think this I was going to read in non-fiction November, and I just read too many of those, so I think I'd kind of overdone it a bit. I think I'd overdone it a bit with the dead body non-fiction, so I didn't end up getting to this one, but again, it is one that I do plan on keeping. I'm not gonna unhaul it just because I haven't read it, because yeah, I'm fascinated by it, and I think it could be one that I get to this year. I'm gonna just keep saying that with all the ones I haven't read. Find out what happened. Next up is another one that I did not get to, and I think the reason I didn't get to this one was because, again, it's quite a big book, and yeah, I did read other books by this author, quite a few of them. I just didn't pick this one up. So this is Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King. This one is over 700 pages, which is probably why I didn't get to it. I definitely read other Stephen King books this year, but they were not, I don't think any massive Stephen King books this year that I can remember anyway. So I think that possibly is why I didn't get to this one. I do still think I'm going to really love this one when I read it. I generally love Stephen King's books anyway. It's just one that has not yet been read, but I will read it. I'm sure I am. Next up is a book that I did actually read. This is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This obviously I put on the list because I have previously really enjoyed Emma, Pride and Prejudice and Mansfield Park, and I thought Sense and Sensibility is another Jane Austen. Unfortunately, this is my least favourite Jane Austen book, I think. Yeah, of the 4 that I've read so far, definitely my least favourite. I gave this one a 3-star. I just didn't connect with the main characters. It basically follows Marianne Dashwood and Eleanor Dashwood, who are 2 sisters, and I just didn't connect with Marianne's character, and I found it really difficult because I did not like either of the male romance characters either. So I liked Eleanor, and that was about it. So yeah, it just wasn't really for me, and that's why I didn't give it such high. Again, it's always written really well. I love Jane Austen's writing. I am really looking forward to reading Persuasion and Northanger Abbey, hopefully soon, because again, I've only got those 2 left to read, but yeah, I really wasn't a fan of Sense and Sensibility, unfortunately. I actually I read the first chapter of this book during my Try a Chapter tag in 2018, so it was just before Vlogmas, and it was the Boyfriend Chooses Your Books one, and AD actually picked this one off my shelf, and I read the first chapter, and I was really close to reading this book. I ended up going for something else, can't even remember what now. I think it was the zombie one, but I do still think I'm going to really like this, but for some reason I just haven't got around to it again. This is Pod by Stephen Wallenfels. This is a sci-fi dystopian novel about some black spheres that appear in the sky with a really loud noise, and basically there is no telecommunication and the survivors all remain indoors, and it's kind of about Josh, who is trapped at home with his dad, and Megs, who is in a hotel parking garage. and then food and stuff starts to run out, and it's all about that. Again, I do think I'm going to really enjoy this one. I do plan on keeping it, and it's only a really short one. I just think it wasn't one that like called to me during this year, but yeah, I really am going to try and make more of an effort this year of actually reading the books in my TBRs of the year, because yeah, I haven't done the best this year, but you know what, we have more books to read on our shelves. So yes, this is definitely one I want to continue reading. Sorry, it's flashing you, but yeah, it didn't get to it, unfortunately. Next up is one I actually read, and that is Room by Emma Donoghue, and this is a book that I'd had on my shelf for years, so I'm really, really happy and glad that I finally read it. Unfortunately, I did only give it a 3-star, not a 5-star, obviously. I think the main reason for this is that this book basically follows a 5-year-old boy named Jack, who has grown up in a room with his mother because his mother was abducted when she was younger, and he doesn't know anything about the outside world, and it's kind of about that. I think for me this book wasn't quite what I was expecting. The kind of room element ends pretty quickly in the book, and it's kind of about after that really, which is not what I was expecting. Plus this is also from the perspective of the 5-year-old boy, and I just found that to be a little bit grating. I did not particularly enjoy that. I'm not really a fan of child narrators in books, so yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's probably why I didn't like it very much, but yeah, I wasn't a fan. But you know, it was a 3-star, it was okay, it was an alright read, but definitely not one that I will be classing as my favourite of the year. Next up we have another thriller, and this one is Good Me, Bad Me by Ali Land, and again, this is one that I have actually read. Again though, I only gave it a 3-star. I'm not doing very well with my predictions. I'm not very good at picking which ones I'm going to give 5 stars. This one I'd heard really good things about, and I actually did enjoy it. It basically follows a girl named Millie, whose mother is a serial killer, and she has been adopted and given a fresh start in a foster home at the moment, while her mother's trial is about to happen, and she is essentially having to give evidence in that trial. And it kind of talks about nature versus nurture, and it talks about how she can move on with her life after such a horrendous thing has happened. I guess the twist quite early on, and so it kind of ruined the surprise for me, and it's not a very big book either, so I just lost a bit of interest. I think it was an okay book, it just wasn't anything special for me, and like I said, I gave it a 3-star, so yeah, not one of my favourites, but one that I did enjoy at the time. Then next up, the penultimate book is I See You by Claire Mackintosh, and I finally have one that I actually gave a 5-star that I said I was going to read and did read and really, really enjoyed it. So I read I Let You Go by Claire Mackintosh in 2018, and I really enjoyed that one, and so I had obviously predicted that I was going to give I See You a 5-star as well, and I absolutely did. It was one of my favourite books of the year for sure. I See You basically follows a woman who she sees her photo in the classified section of a London newspaper, and she can't work out why it's there. The only thing that is with her photo is what seems to be a website address and a telephone number, and there's no explanation why it's there. And then things start to happen, and then later on she sees another woman's photo in the in another the next day's newspaper, and it kind of goes from there. It's really, really gripping, really, really thrilling, and I did not see anything coming. I was completely shocked by it. I thought it was really, really great. It was one of my favourite thrillers I've read for a very long time, and yeah, I got to the end of it and I just wanted to go back and read it again and kind of see if I could figure out all the clues from the start. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. I would highly recommend. I love Claire Mackintosh's writing, and that's 2 of hers I read now and given 5 stars, so I really want to read Let Me Lie, which I think is her newest one. But yeah, a massive, massive fan of that one, and really glad that I was right in saying that I would give it a 5-star. And then of course, to end on a bit of a downer, the last one is actually a book that I said I was going to read and I was really excited about, and I'm still really excited about because I haven't actually read it. This is Truly Madly Guilty by Leanne Moriarty. Now, you probably know, if you've watched my channel for a while, I read Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I also read 9 Perfect Strangers this year, and I've loved both of those. I really, really love her writing. This one follows there's a barbecue, and it starts with this is a story which begins with a barbecue. By the end of it, a lifelong friendship will be in tatters, a marriage on the rocks, and an innocent bystander dead. In just one evening, 6 lives will change forever. And I do still really, really, really want to read this one. It just never happened. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm excited about reading. I think I have another couple of Liane Moriarty's books now, which again I'm really excited to read. Yeah, I just never got to it in 2019, but definitely one that I think I'm going to get to. I'm going to say it again, in 2020. So there you are, guys. I don't think I did too badly. No, I did pretty badly, let's be honest. I read 7 out of 12, which is not too bad. But of those 7, I only gave one of them a 5-star. So, I mean, could be better. I feel like on a report card I'd probably get a C, right? Like, C, could do better. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books, and did you give any of them a 5-star? Yeah, like I said, I am really going to try and focus more on my TBRs for 2020 and actually try and read one a month, because I kind of failed on that one a little bit, didn't I? But as I said, I'm really excited to be continuing on with the TBRs series, and like I said, the next video will be me doing my Project Thriller TBR wrap up from 2019, so you can look forward to that one. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I shall see you next time for another video. Bye guys!